Life has a way of pressing in, bending the spirit, making a person feel like they've carried the weight of yesterday for far too long. There are days when the burdens stack high, regrets cast long shadows, and the mistakes of the past whisper too loudly in the silence of the night. But then morning comes. The sun stretches its golden arms across the sky, and with it something unseen, something powerful, something divine unfolds. Mercy, not the tired leftovers of yesterday, not the fading echoes of a promise once spoken, but fresh, abundant, unrelenting mercy. Every morning, without fail, it arrives new and untouched, washing over the weary soul like a cleansing rain. And that mercy, that love is not something earned, not something bartered for. It is simply given, given to the broken, given to the weary, given to you. Do you know what it means to wake up and know you are forgiven? To stand at the edge of a new day, unshackled by the regrets that tried to hold you captive just hours before? There is something mighty about the way the heavens work, something so intentional that no human hand could have designed it. Because every morning before you open your eyes, before you take your first waking breath, a gift has already been placed at your feet, and that gift is mercy. Mercy that does not remind you of who you were yesterday. Mercy that does not tally up your faults and failures, laying them out before you like an accusation. Mercy that does not say, you should have been better, or you have to earn your redemption. No, this mercy is different. It is not weak, not hesitant, not sparing in its reach. It is strong, unwavering, and it finds you wherever you are, whether you are standing tall in triumph or curled up in the valley of despair. Now, I don't know what yesterday looked like for you. Maybe it was filled with joy, maybe with sorrow. Maybe you felt accomplished, or maybe you felt like you lost more battles than you won. But none of that matters now, because today has come. Today the sun rose just for you. Today mercy was renewed and poured out like an overflowing river, drenching you in grace. Today is your chance to begin again. You see, the beauty of mercy is that it does not run out. It is not rationed, not portioned in small doses, as if it might one day be exhausted. It does not come with conditions or with a list of prerequisites. It does not ask you to be perfect before it embraces you. It does not require you to have all the answers, to have righted every wrong before it arrives at your doorstep. No, mercy meets you as you are, flawed, imperfect, bruised, and yet deeply and completely loved. Some people will try to tell you otherwise. They will say that mercy is reserved for the deserving, that it must be earned through penance and performance. They will make you believe that yesterday's mistakes have the power to chain you to an unchangeable future. But I am here to tell you that they are wrong, because mercy, real, boundless, unshakable mercy, knows no such rules. It is not bound by the limits of human understanding. It is not withheld because of a bad decision or a wrong turn. No, mercy is new every morning because the one who gives it does not count yesterday against you. Now, maybe you are sitting there thinking, but you don't know me. You don't know the things I've done, the ways I've failed, the people I've hurt. And you're right, I don't. But mercy does. And yet here it is, fresh and waiting for you, unbothered by the weight of your past, undeterred by the whispers of your doubt. Mercy does not concern itself with the things that try to disqualify you. It does not shrink back because of your history. It steps forward, bold and relentless, and says, today you get another chance. Some days the hardest thing is believing that you are worthy of it. The hardest thing is waking up and accepting that you do not have to carry yesterday into today. But let me tell you something. If mercy can greet you every morning without hesitation, then who are you to refuse it? If the heavens themselves have deemed you deserving of another chance, then who are you to argue with such a gift? Let go of the voices that try to convince you otherwise. Let go of the lies that say mercy has limits, that forgiveness has an expiration date. Let go of the weight of yesterday, because today is here, and with it, mercy, new, untainted, waiting for you to receive it. So walk in it, stand in it, breathe it in as if it were the very air that fills your lungs. Let it wash over you, cleanse you, renew you. Let it remind you that you are not bound by what has been, but freed by what is. Today is a new day, and mercy is already here. Take hold of it and step boldly forward. Life has a rhythm to it, a rise and a fall, a turning of pages that we cannot stop no matter how tightly we grip the past. There are nights that stretch too long, filled with echoes of regrets and silent conversations with memories we wish we could rewrite. There are mornings that feel like mere continuations of yesterday's sorrow, like the sun has risen but left us in shadow. And yet beyond what we feel, beyond what we carry, there is something greater at work, something moving on our behalf before we even lift our heads from the pillow. Mercy. The kind that does not flinch at our imperfections, the kind that does not grow weary of our humanity, the kind that arrives without being called, without being earned, without being deserved. Some people spend their whole lives believing they are unworthy of it. They live burdened, heavy with shame, convinced that grace was meant for someone else. They walk through life with their heads down, carrying invisible chains of their own making, dragging the weight of yesterday behind them like a punishment they believe they must endure. But mercy does not ask you to walk in shame. It does not come with a ledger keeping track of every mistake, every misstep, every word spoken in anger or fear. It does not remind you of the ways you have fallen short. No, mercy simply extends itself, morning after morning, refusing to be anything less than abundant. Think about that. Think about what it means to wake up and know that you have already been forgiven. Think about what it means to stand at the threshold of a new day and realize that the past does not own you. The world may try to convince you otherwise. It may try to hold you accountable to every failure, every weakness, every imperfection. It may try to make you believe that you're only as good as your last mistake. But mercy speaks a different truth. It whispers that you are more than your failures. It declares that you are not beyond redemption. It shouts that love is still reaching for you, no matter how far you think you have fallen. How many of us have spent years believing that mercy had a limit? How many of us have walked through life waiting for the moment when grace would run out? We tell ourselves that second chances are for the worthy, that love is only for those who have not broken too many rules, that forgiveness is something that must be earned, but that is not how mercy works. Mercy does not function within the rules of men. It does not abide by the conditions we try to place upon it. It is wild, boundless, relentless. It pursues us even when we are running in the opposite direction. It catches up to us when we believe we are too far gone. Maybe you have convinced yourself that you are beyond saving. Maybe you have spent years believing that mercy was for others, but not for you. Maybe you have told yourself that if people really knew you, if they really saw the depths of your failures, they would turn away. But mercy already knows. It already sees the places you hide. It already knows the wounds you cover. And still it is here. Still it comes. Still it wraps itself around you and calls you beloved. There is something deeply powerful about the renewal of each day, the way the world is washed in golden light, the way the darkness of night surrenders to something softer, something warmer. It is a reminder that nothing lasts forever, not even our worst moments, not even our deepest pain, not even the mistakes that we think define us. Because if the heavens can paint the sky anew every morning, if the earth itself can wake up different than it was the night before, then so can you. You do not have to be who you were yesterday. You do not have to carry what no longer serves you. You do not have to live in the shadows of your past. Some people fear the morning because it means facing another day of struggle, another day of fighting battles that feel unending, another day of feeling like they are falling behind, like they are not enough, like they are losing the race before they even begin. But the morning is not your enemy. It is your invitation. It is proof that you have been given another chance, another opportunity to walk in mercy, another day to breathe in grace. It is the heavens whispering to you, you are not finished yet. And maybe that is what someone needs to hear today. Maybe someone needs to be reminded that they are not beyond hope, that no matter what they have done, no matter where they have been, no matter how long they have lived believing that mercy was not for them, it is. It always has been, and it always will be, because mercy does not keep records. It does not hold grudges. It does not weigh your worth against your past. It simply offers itself new and full morning after morning, waiting for you to step into it. The question is not whether mercy is available to you. The question is whether you will receive it. Because mercy cannot be forced upon you. It cannot be made to take root in a heart that refuses to let go of guilt and shame. It cannot bloom in a soul that clings to the belief that they must be punished before they can be redeemed. Mercy is a gift, and like all gifts, it must be accepted. It must be held on to, must be believed in. So, what will you do with the mercy that has been given to you? Will you walk past it, too consumed with your own failures to see the grace stretched before you? Will you turn away from it, convinced that you are unworthy of something so good, so undeserved? Or will you step into it? Will you let it wash over you? Will you finally truly believe that it is yours? There are moments in life when the weight of everything that has been done, everything that has been said, everything that has been broken, feels too heavy to carry. Regret is a cruel companion, one that whispers constantly, one that reminds you of every wrong turn, every missed opportunity, every word you wish you could take back. And yet, even with all its noise, even with all its accusations, regret is powerless in the face of mercy, because mercy does not negotiate with the past. It does not barter with guilt or make deals with shame. Mercy does not need regret's permission to step in. It simply comes. There is a reason why mercy is new every morning, why it does not come in portions that last a lifetime, why it does not arrive in one grand display meant to sustain you indefinitely. Because we are human, because we fail daily, because we carry burdens we should have laid down long ago, because we have days when we feel like we cannot possibly be forgiven, days when we look at ourselves and wonder if we will ever be whole. And so mercy comes again and again, not as a one-time gift, but as a daily renewal, as a fresh start that is placed before us without hesitation, without reservation, without conditions. It is hard to grasp, isn't it? This idea that mercy is always there, that it is never depleted, that no matter how many times you have failed, no matter how many times you have turned away, no matter how many times you have felt unworthy, it is still there. The world does not operate this way. People do not always forgive so easily. Relationships break. Love fades, patience wears thin, but mercy is not human. It does not run out. It does not get tired of you. It does not look at you and say, enough. You have had too many chances. There is a deep beauty in that, in knowing that you are never beyond redemption, never beyond hope, never beyond the reach of mercy. But there is also a challenge in it. Because accepting mercy means letting go of the things that have kept you bound. It means releasing the guilt that you have carried for far too long. It means refusing to be defined by the worst parts of your story. It means believing that no matter what has happened before, today is still full of possibility, still full of grace, still full of new beginnings. And that is not always easy. It is not always easy to wake up and believe that today can be different, that today is not just another repetition of yesterday, that today does not have to carry the same weight, the same sorrow, the same burdens. It is not always easy to silence the voice in your mind that tells you mercy cannot possibly be for you, that you are too flawed, too broken, too far gone. It is not always easy to take hold of something so freely given, when the world has conditioned you to believe that everything must be earned, that love must be proven, that second chances come with conditions. But mercy does not operate by the world's standards. Mercy does not demand perfection. Mercy does not ask you to prove yourself before it embraces you. Mercy simply comes, whether you think you deserve it or not, whether you are ready for it or not, whether you are willing to receive it or not. Mercy does not require your permission to exist. It does not hesitate. It does not wait for you to feel worthy. It simply arrives, fresh and full, every single morning. And that means you do not have to carry yesterday into today. You do not have to be bound by the mistakes that have haunted you. You do not have to let the failures of the past dictate your future, because today is new and mercy is here and you are free to step into it. But here is the thing about mercy. Though it is freely given, though it is abundant and limitless, it is still a choice. You can walk in it, or you can reject it. You can receive it, or you can turn away from it. Mercy is not something that forces itself upon you. It is not something that drags you into grace against your will. It is not something that will shout over the voices in your mind if you refuse to listen. Mercy stands at the door, waiting for you to let it in. And many people do not. Many people choose to hold on to their guilt because it feels familiar. Many people choose to believe they are too far gone because it is easier than daring to hope. Many people choose to live in the shadows of their past because stepping into the light feels too vulnerable, too uncertain. Many people choose to cling to the idea that they must earn their worth, that they must work for their redemption, that they must prove themselves before they can be loved. But mercy does not ask for any of that. Mercy does not come with a checklist, a set of requirements that must be met before it can be given. Mercy does not wait for you to have it all together. Mercy does not care if you are still figuring things out, still wrestling with your past, still learning how to forgive yourself. Mercy comes anyway. And maybe that is what makes it so hard to accept. Because we have been taught that love is conditional, that forgiveness is something that must be won, that grace is not for the undeserving. But mercy shatters all of that. Mercy says, come as you are. Mercy says, you do not have to be perfect. Mercy says, you are already loved. And when you begin to believe that, when you begin to walk in that truth, when you begin to let go of the idea that you must carry your past with you at all times, something shifts. The weight begins to lift, the chains begin to break. The lies that have held you captive begin to lose their power, and you begin to understand that you were never meant to live bound by guilt and shame. You were meant to live in freedom. You were meant to wake up and know that yesterday does not have to define you. You were meant to step into each day knowing that mercy has already gone before you, that grace has already made a way, that love has already declared you worthy. You were meant to walk in mercy, to receive it fully, to allow it to transform the way you see yourself, the way you see others, the way you see the world. Because mercy does not just change the way we live, it changes the way we love. When we have received mercy, when we have truly accepted it, when we have let it wash over us and renew us, We cannot help but extend it to others. We cannot help but see people differently. We cannot help but love more deeply, forgive more freely, offer grace more generously. Because when you have been given something so abundant, something so undeserved, something so life-changing, you cannot keep it to yourself. And maybe that is the greatest gift of mercy. Not just that it is new every morning, not just that it is always available, but that it does not end with us. It moves through us, it flows outward, it changes the way we treat others, the way we see those who have hurt us, the way we respond to the brokenness in the world around us. Mercy does not just heal us, it teaches us how to heal others. And that is why it never runs out, because it is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be given, to be shared, to be spread. Mercy is not a reservoir. It is a river flowing endlessly, pouring out upon all who are willing to receive it. It is not something that can be exhausted, because it is renewed day after day, morning after morning, forever and always. And so no matter where you have been, no matter what you have done, no matter how many times you have convinced yourself that you are beyond hope, mercy is still here. It is still reaching for you. It is still offering you another chance. It is still declaring that today is a new day, that you are not bound by what has been, that you are free to walk forward without the weight of yesterday holding you back. Mercy is not only a gift, but a promise, one that remains unbroken despite the frailties of human nature. It is woven into the very fabric of existence, stitched into the rising of the sun, the turning of the earth, the unfolding of each new day. It is not an accident, not an afterthought, not a conditional offering that teeters on the edge of being revoked. Mercy is intentional, deliberate, steadfast. It does not waver based on emotions, does not shift based on worthiness, does not retreat in the presence of failure. It is as constant as time itself, as unfailing as the breath in your lungs, as certain as the dawn that follows even the darkest of nights. And yet for all its certainty, for all its abundance, there are those who live as though mercy is not for them. They walk through life as if they are prisoners to their past, as if the mistakes they have made have cemented their fate, as if there is no path forward. They believe in justice and consequences, in cause and effect, but they struggle to believe in mercy. They struggle to accept that something so boundless, so freely given, could truly belong to them. And so they resist it. They convince themselves that they must carry the weight of their choices, that they must suffer for what they have done, that they must atone before they can be set free. But mercy is not a transaction. It is not a reward for good behavior, not a prize that can be earned through suffering, not a limited resource that must be rationed. Mercy is given without qualification, without hesitation, without condition. It does not ask whether you deserve it. It does not inquire about your past. It does not measure the depth of your failures before deciding whether to extend itself. It simply arrives, full and whole, ready to be received. And yet, receiving mercy is often the hardest part. Because to accept mercy, you must first be willing to let go of guilt. You must be willing to release the idea that you are beyond redemption, that your failures are final, that your story has already been written. You must be willing to believe that love can reach you even in your lowest moments, that grace is still yours even when you have done nothing to earn it, that forgiveness is not something you have to work for, but something that has already been offered to you in full. That kind of belief is difficult. It requires you to silence the voice that tells you mercy has limits, to reject the notion that you must suffer before you can be free, to step forward even when you feel unworthy. It requires you to abandon the idea that your past defines your future, to release the burden of shame, to trust that new beginnings are not just possible but promised. And for some, that is terrifying, because accepting mercy means relinquishing control. It means surrendering the right to punish yourself. It means admitting that you cannot undo what has been done, that you cannot rewrite the past, that the only way forward is through grace. But mercy is patient. It does not rush you. It does not force itself upon you. It does not grow weary of waiting. It simply remains steady and unwavering, offering itself anew each morning, hoping that one day you will have the courage to receive it. And when you do, when you finally let mercy in, when you finally allow yourself to be loved despite your flaws, when you finally accept that you are not beyond grace, something miraculous happens. The weight you have carried for so long begins to lift. The burdens that have kept you bound begin to fall away. The lies you have believed about yourself begin to lose their power, and in their place something new takes root. Hope, healing, freedom. Because mercy does not just erase the past, it transforms the future. It does not just cover what has been done, it opens the door to what is still possible. It takes the broken pieces and builds something new. It takes the shattered remains of yesterday and turns them into the foundation of a stronger, freer, more beautiful. And that story is yours if you are willing to accept it. That new beginning is waiting for you if you are willing to step into it. That mercy is already here, already present, already pouring itself out for you, morning after morning, hoping that today will be the day you finally believe it is yours. Because mercy is not a distant promise, not a vague possibility, not a gift meant for someone else. Mercy is for you, right here, right now, exactly as you are. Mercy is not a fleeting emotion, not a temporary reprieve, not a privilege reserved for the few. It is a constant, unshaken promise renewed with every sunrise. It does not ask for perfection, does not wait for you to prove yourself, does not run out no matter how many times you have fallen. Mercy stands at the doorway of each new day, inviting you to release the burdens of yesterday, to step forward without fear, to embrace the truth that you are not beyond redemption. The only question is whether you will receive it. Will you allow mercy to rewrite your story, to free you from the chains of guilt, to lead you into a life no longer defined by regret? The invitation is before you, unchanged, unwavering. Today is new. Mercy is here. And no matter where you have been, no matter what you have done, you are still worthy of grace.